Hey everyone, welcome back to the Pink and Blue Podcast. Today is episode 8. My name is Bluetoonz.
And I'm Pink Boomerang.
And Jackson, would you have any questions today that you'd like to start off with?
All right, well, I thought you were going to start with something, but I do. Let's see. I've just got a whole list of these. I've been stockpiling them, kind of.
Okay. I'm going to have something I can talk about if you want, but you said you wanted to talk about something. So.
We'll do it after this. Yeah. I like starting out with these kind of icebreaker questions.
Yeah, exactly.
That make absolutely no sense at all.
Fair.
So, if there was a worldwide game of tag, where are you hiding to not get caught?
So we're trying to hide, not run away.
Well, yeah, but it's like if you get tagged, you die.
Oh, okay, all right.
I forgot to mention that.
Where would I hide? I want to say like Antarctica, but I feel like everyone would go there, and also you'd probably die, like of freezing temperatures anyway. So,
right.
Maybe like Iceland.
Yeah, because it's hard to get to.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people would go there. It makes sense.
And it's not
My
like
first
already a
reaction
heavily
is Canada.
populated area. Yeah, Canada is good too.
Right. Canada is good because it's huge. Barely anybody lives in like the Northern Territories.
Actually, yeah.
I think one of their provinces is just Northern Territories, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would also say Russia is a pretty safe bet.
Yes.
Not a lot of people live in Russia. I mean, they have a big population, but most of it's in like a few central cities.
Only 37 million people live in Canada in total.
That's nothing.
That is nothing. That's like
compared to the wonderful country of the U.S. of A.
Dude, California alone has more people in it than Canada.
California alone.
That's nuts. Yeah, okay.
That
so
is insane.
Canada seems like a good spot. Let's see.
Another good spot, I would say, is like somewhere in Africa.
Yeah. Dude, Iceland only has 352,000.
I don't have a reason, just somewhere in Africa. Iceland only has 352,000 people.
Yeah. And it's an island.
It is, yes.
Yeah. So, it's a little bit harder to get to.
I always found it weird that Iceland and Greenland, like, they should have their names switched.
That's why I picked
like,
Iceland instead of Greenland.
Has more green.
Yeah.
And Greenland has more ice. So it's like...
Plus, you can see the northern lights in Iceland. And those are really pretty.
You could probably see them at Greenland, too.
You probably could, but you might die in Greenland from the worldwide game of tag.
Where you die if you get tagged.
Hey, I mean,
I don't know why I wrote that, but that's how I wrote it down.
It seems like the Maze Runner, except not really, because that's totally different. But people die in that.
What's the Maze Runner?
I haven't actually read.
Is it very self-explanatory? Think
about the name.
I mean, like, okay, yeah, maze, run.
It's literally like a bunch
of
teenagers like trapped inside this maze, and they're trying to find a way out. I haven't read the books. I only read the first one, and I haven't read it in it's probably been 7 years. So I would need a refresher.
That makes sense.
But yeah, let me think. I was looking through the news today, and
yeah.
So obviously, I know the coronavirus has been a very apparent thing in the news for the past 3 months because it's been a global pandemic and whatnot. But
sure.
In Texas, the governor says that some pro sports will return in June, which is in 3 days.
Oh, that is quite soon, actually. I forgot that May is pretty much over. Did they say what pro sports?
Let's see.
Okay.
Oh, okay. And also it's Florida, New York, Arizona, Nevada, and California. Wow, along with Texas. Okay. Let's see. It's ESPN, so it's probably NASCAR, the UFC, so boxing and racing.
And that's it.
No, National Hockey League. Those
I
are
don't
going to
think
begin...
hockey is very big in Texas.
It's not, but I'm just saying, generally. That will begin in July. The NFL is starting games beginning of September. Ohio State says that like 50,000 people might come to their games if they open back up.
Yeah, sure.
Dude, Ohio State's pretty good. That's like the one thing we have going for us.
In Ohio? Is Ohio State?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Not even the school, just their football team.
Okay. Is this just like they are playing the games, or are there going to be like audience stuff?
No, there's going to be audiences and stuff.
Okay. Well, that's good to see.
I definitely. I mean, things need to start opening up again.
Right. I have an orthodontist appointment to go to tomorrow morning.
Oh, what time?
And 9:15.
Exciting stuff.
Which is not that big of a deal. I wake up at 8 anyway.
Yeah.
But I found it weird because I had to fill out like a questionnaire like on coronavirus or whatever. So it's like, have you been in contact with anybody? Are you over the age of 60? Which is a weird question because I don't think I've seen anyone over the age of 18 in this particular orthodontics center. Establishment. So that was weird. And then the other weird thing is they're making me wear a mask, which at first thought, how are they going to see my teeth?
Exactly. I mean, they'll take it off, right? Or are they just gonna like? So. They're gonna like
they
pull
just
it
go
up
right
and, like,
through the mask. I don't know.
That's so ridiculous.
They X-ray through it. I don't know.
Lasers.
But it's like if they're, I assume I'm gonna take it off, right? So it's like, what's the point of even putting it on in the first place? It doesn't really make any sense at all.
Question.
I mean, it's like all the doctors already wear masks, so I don't.
I mean, it's mostly just for the safety of like your fellow orthodontist goers as you're sitting like in the lobby waiting to go to see your dentist. I don't know where I go. There's like a little waiting area, and then you go off to see
so it's like we have a waiting area, but like barely anybody sits there. So maybe like 2 or 3 parents at a busy time.
Still,
so like afternoon.
I mean, that's people.
Like 2
they gotta protect against that.
That's fair, but it's like when some restaurants are doing it, and restaurants get a lot more people than an orthodontics establishment.
True. And they don't have to wear masks.
Right.
People come to Chick-fil-A all the time without masks.
Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. I guess that's like a company thing, right? It's like whether they want to or not, and whether they feel safe doing it.
It's also like a public image thing in some cases. Like some people like, you know, I mean, we do testing and, well, I guess not. We don't do like technical testing, but like, you know, we check our temperatures every time we go into work. We wash our hands. Everyone has a schedule in like 30 minutes just to make sure that no one has the virus. And we know that none of our employees have it, but we all still wear masks so that we can give other people a peace of mind and like, you know, keep others safe. Because, I mean, that's the point of a mask. A mask doesn't protect you from other people. It protects other people from you. So it's more of just like a business thing. It's like, oh, we have the common courtesy of like protecting you, the public, from our customers who might have it. But like, you should also do the same to protect our customers from you who may also have it. But most people do not follow that guideline.
Right. That's the like weird thing. Like masks are primarily used if you're sick, not if you want to not get sick.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, how a lot of people are approaching the situation. I mean, like, it obviously does help in that fashion, right? But
I would say it helps both ways.
I don't know. It just seems... Yeah, but it just seems counterintuitive to think of it in that way.
And I totally respect the idea of masks, but I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here for a second.
Okay.
So I had to go to work today from 11 to 4. And as you know, that is, in fact, the sunniest time of the day here in the great old land of Clee. And, oh my God.
Cleveland, Ohio,
I was literally sitting outside of the restaurant. Like, so in terms of like positions, we have an expo who gets the food from the kitchen and they put it in the bags and stuff. And then they give it to the server. And the server brings it to me. And I'm sitting outside. I have to like introduce myself to all the cars and stuff so that I know who's in what car, and then we print out like labels with people's names on it, what car they're in, and that way when I get the order, I know who to bring it to. So I have to sit outside for like 5 hours today. And I'm just sitting there with my mask on, and I'm just breathing in like the same hot breath, like over and over and over for like 5 hours, and it was terrible. Like the buildup of moisture inside my mask was so intense. It was so hot out today.
Yeah, it got up to like 85 degrees today, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because you don't have like a drive-through.
No, we do.
Oh, you do? Then why do you do the... Is it just because there's so many cars?
Yeah, our drive-thru like often gets packed out to like the street. Like there are sometimes when I literally cannot pull into work because the intersection is blocked by cars in the drive-thru.
Oh wow!
So we have an actual.
That's actually
drive-thru.
Kind of crazy.
It's so nuts. Like you would expect people to be like, "Oh, it's quarantine. We should stay inside and like only go out if it's essential." But people are like, "Let's go to Chick-fil-A because we're bored." It's so nuts. But yeah, we have like, it's called mobile curbside. People can download the Chick-fil-A app and then they can just place an order through their phone and then they can come to the store and pick it up if they want.
Right, because who doesn't have the Chick-fil-A app?
I didn't download it until a week ago and I've worked there for 8 months. It's honestly so helpful. Like if you go to Chick-fil-A a lot, and I go there all the time because I work there. And I don't know why I didn't get it until like last week.
Yeah, right. Like the only situation in which you would download like an app for a fast food place is if you go there like every day or every other day, because then it helps.
Yeah.
Because then
there are people that I
apps,
see like
I know my
often.
dad. Yeah, I know my dad. He goes to Starbucks every day, sometimes twice a day, and he always uses the app to pre-order because it's just like right down the street, so he can walk from home to the Starbucks every morning, especially when it's nice out, right?
Yeah, well, that's
when
like
he's coming home from a run. Right. But I mean, it's just like I don't see the usefulness in downloading an app like that if I'm not going there every day or every other day. So it's like only for people.
Agree. I wouldn't even say, like, I didn't have it forever, and I work there, and I am there probably like 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, but the app doesn't serve any more purpose other than order food.
You can save points.
So it's like, you as an employee, you don't get
yeah.
Any usefulness out of it.
I mean, literally the reason that I downloaded it last week was because my friends were like, we should go to Chick-fil-A. And I was like, okay. So I sat in the parking lot of my car, and I was like, I don't want to wait in the drive-thru line, so I downloaded the app. Because, to be fair, waiting in the app is a lot faster. But also, it allows you, like, if you have a Chick-fil-A account through the app, you can save up points, and then you can redeem them to get free food.
Yeah.
So there's that, I guess. So it serves a little bit more purpose.
You can't just do that because you're an employee?
No.
You don't have, like, a employee identification?
I get an employee discount, but it's only active when I'm working. So if I'm not working, I cannot use it for any reason at all.
Oh, that's dumb.
Yeah. And you can only use it, like, while you're on shift. So, like, when you leave, you have to make sure you order, like, immediately
before
after.
You clock out.
No, they let you order, like, slightly after, but you have to make sure that you work that day.
Yeah.
Like, let's say that I went into work, and then I came back. Like, I didn't use my discount, and then I came back later in the day, like, 2 hours later with my friends. They wouldn't let me use it.
Oh, well. What was the one thing I wanted to bring up? What's it? Hold on.
Go ahead.
I'm going to Twitter to check the trending section because I know it's still trending. Fuck, where is it? Do you know the one story of like the guy who got killed, the black guy, because a police officer killed him? Yep. Yeah. Fuck, I can't find it on Twitter, but
plenty. Really, you can't find it on Twitter? Dude, people are posting.
No, I'm on my mobile app. I'm not on my PC. But
there's a rally down where I live, which I will not disclose, but it's in a very specific town. But there's a rally. I think like I want to say it's June 2nd.
So like 3 days from now, 4 days from now.
Yeah, I guarantee you it's still on someone's Instagram post. Let's see. Wait. Gotta find this. Sorry, one second.
Okay.
Gotta make sure the information is accurate.
Right.
Come on, like literally 80 people just posted about it. Why can't I look at that? Okay, so there is going to be a Black Lives Matter rally held very close to where I live on June 2nd. Which I think is good because, yes, Tuesday, June 2nd. Because honestly, I live in a very, like, predominantly white community. And I would say that there are a lot of people who are privileged where I live. I mean, there are for sure some who are not. But people are talking about it now more of like a standpoint of how you're literally privileged just because, like, it has nothing to do with, like, you know, gender or economic status or poverty level or education or anything like that. Like, you are literally disadvantaged by the justice system just for, like, being African American.
Right.
Like, and it's white privilege to be white because you are not disadvantaged as disadvantaged as an African American person would be.
Yeah.
Which honestly I think is a valid argument. We this past year in my AP English language class, we focused a ton on the justice system and the rampant amount of racism that is present. And it is quite a lot.
Right. So just for people who don't know what we're talking about,
this would be important.
What's the guy's name? I don't want to get it wrong.
George Floyd.
George Floyd. So there's a guy in Minneapolis, African American man. So a police officer like tried to.
There were 4 of them.
There were 4 of police officers?
Yeah, I mean there was one guy who was like on his neck, but
Yeah. And the guy who was on his neck, like he was trying to say that he couldn't breathe because the police officer's standing on this guy's neck, and he dies because he was choked to death, essentially. Which is really unfortunate. In Minneapolis, right?
Yes.
I didn't read up on this. I just heard about it.
It's so weird because people they were talking about how they don't even know what happened, like why he was, at least what I'm looking at right now, like people don't know why he was like being investigated by police. They're just saying that it might have like, purely been an act of racism. Right.
I've seen articles saying, I just said I didn't read about this, but I kind of did. I've seen articles saying like he's had prior incidences with the police, like he's been arrested for drug use or alcohol under the influence driving, something like that, right? So there's that, but he's like a football player for whatever team, whatever high school team or college team, I don't know. And then I've also seen articles saying like he was being investigated for some kind of robbery or something like that. Again, I'm not fact checking any of this as I'm saying it, but yeah. I'm just kind of putting that out there. But it's like this is a really unfortunate situation, and it's weird to me why this situation is so much more popular than other situations we've had in the past similar to this, whether that's in
this happens like
another state like Louisiana or whatever.
And I'm not saying that's right,
but for some reason
shouldn't, but
right. But it's like it's weird because I don't know the specifics, but there was one in Louisiana a couple of months ago. There was one in California, I think, a number of months ago. I don't remember any of the specifics. Yeah. But it's like, why is this one so popular that maybe it's just because the guy's younger and he's still in school and he's a football player? I don't know.
He is not.
But they have one.
He's 46.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
You're good.
Well,
I'm just looking over right now just to make sure that everything.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 46. He was a suspect that police intercepted following a report of an alleged forgery. So, I guess that's why he was being intercepted by police.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just interesting to me that this is so much popular, because I see there's like a change.org petition or whatever that has like 1 million something people signed already.
Yeah.
Out of 3 million, which is insane for that many signatures in such a short amount of time.
It's nuts.
And I know the police officer who killed him was fired.
Yeah, they were all 4 of them were detained. Not detained.
Charges have not been pressed, though.
Yeah, they haven't.
As of right now.
Now there's a video on YouTube of a wrestling coach mockingly recreating his death. What the crap?
Okay, well... I don't know if I need to see that.
We live in such a strange place in time.
We do.
But yeah. I mean, obviously, none of this was deserved. I mean, even if he, like, was a suspect for a possible forgery case, like, you don't need to get down on his neck with your knee. That's just entirely unnecessary.
I don't think that's, like, in protocol to do for any officer at all.
I mean,
like,
I don't
sometimes
know why
people
it would
complain. Right. Sometimes people complain, like, there's stories where a police officer will do something that seems, like, kind of ridiculous and outside of protocol, but it's actually just completely normal for them to do.
Yeah.
But it was in a situation because some guy, like, had a platform to say something or whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets out to the media and everyone's like, that's ridiculous. Why would anyone do this? But it's actually just completely normal.
Okay, yeah, he was a suspect of a forgery case at a grocery store. Wow.
And it's always like with situations like this where, like, I feel like half the articles that you read are just completely wrong and they miss, like, so key details to the situation at hand.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of people, I feel like, just, or at least, I guess, a lot of news articles jump on the case, like, immediately. They're just like, we need clicks.
Right, I mean, if you're the first article out there, it's going to be the first one that jumps out at Google if you look it up, you know?
Terrible about
especially if it's a large organization like CNN or NBC or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, too,
New York
like,
Times is a big one.
News media, like, outlets and that type of thing only cover these types of things, like, if they're getting popular. And then they're like, yeah, well, we'll get more clicks from this. Like, this stuff happens all the time. Like, why are you specifically, you're specifically choosing to cover this case because people are upset about it? Which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because justice should be brought to this case, no matter how popular the case actually gets.
Right. Also, just recently, 2 weeks ago, actually, Congress, they had a vote on a bill, or a law that I don't know the name of because I don't care. Basically, it was a vote for, like, specific security laws regarding internet security specifically. Yeah. So I'm not going to go over the specifics because it's really boring. But one of the major things points out how the FBI and other agencies like the NSA or whatever can, without a warrant, search your browser history. And the vote failed to make that, like, not a thing.
So it is
because a few senators didn't show up. So it is a thing, and it has been for a while. Apparently, we found out, like, this law has not been in the public eye for like ever.
I wouldn't be that surprised.
So,
no offense.
Sure, but it's now that it's in the public eye and people have their attention on it. It's like, oh shoot, the FBI is actually spying on us.
Yeah,
and they have been for years without a warrant. They can just look at whatever you've searched, even if it's in private browsing mode. That doesn't
make you
protected against. Yeah,
I thought the people
apart from
knew, like, I mean, at least personally, like people, like the FBI meme has been in circulation like forever. People are always like, "Oh, I'm looking at the
Of
FBI man
course.
through my camera because she can see me." But like, it's still weird to think that that's actually a thing, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's like, what's just, if you were to go into Google right now and just look at your recent history, like what things have you Googled that could be incriminating in some way, A lot. Because
Oh,
in a
absolutely.
way,
I feel
you're
like everyone at some point in their life looks up something that could potentially be incriminating.
right. And they can, pull up that information. Like, let's say you're in a court case for doing something bad, right? You're in a trial and the FBI just, or whatever, I don't know court terms. They pull up some information, like something you searched from like 10 years ago that isn't really relevant, but could put you in a bad spotlight,
Yeah.
Because it's like your browsing history, it's a lot more than, what's 3 cups in metric terms or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than go to this person's YouTube or Facebook or whatever. It's every thought you've ever had, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody looks everything up as long as it's interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
It's every site you go to. It's everything you do, really. It's what links you click on within each site. Pornography. I mean,
no.
Really everything.
Yeah. I mean, everything.
And I mean,
you've
that's a
ever
huge part
viewed
of
on
the internet, but...
Yeah, for sure. I also feel like...
so it's like...
Another thing is, how would this be implemented? I don't remember what amendment it is, but it's like, evidence not found during like a certain time of inspection can't be used in like a future case, even if you know it's true. Not double jeopardy.
Yeah.
It's like, if you get tried for the same crime, it's like, yeah,
that's
like,
not even related.
Even if you were proven like later to have committed the crime, you can't be tried again. But how would that play into it? Because like there is a certain amount of time where you can collect evidence for a case. And does that mean that like your internet browsing history from that time is allowed to be used and any other browses outside of that are not? Or is your entire internet history allowed to be used?
Right. I mean, I think here's the thing with like internet security law is that half of it doesn't make any sense. And prosecutors will just be like, well, we could use this because the law doesn't specify.
Yeah.
So they're going to use it. At the end of the day, anything to make one side win is going to be used.
Yeah.
If it's not specified. And like security regarding internet and web stuff is it's a giant gray area. There's no black and white, really.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
So it's like this coming into the public eye for really the first time is making me wonder, like, okay, what else can they be collecting that I don't know of?
I mean, I wouldn't like to think, because no one likes to think this, but like the FBI and the government theoretically know everything about you.
Right.
I mean, not like, personal stuff, like who's my crush? They probably have no clue. But it's for sure. I mean, there's a lot of information that you give out on the internet all the time, and they technically have access to all of that.
Right. What you make public is public.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of it is used for like social security and that, right? So it's like your age and your occupation. They have to know that. You got to pay your taxes, whatever.
Yeah.
But it comes down to, the debate. The debate is what I do on Google. Is that representative as a whole of me?
No.
Essentially. And does the government...
I feel like even
does
if
the government have the right to own that data?
I feel like that's a no. Like, representative of you as a person as a whole, I feel like that's not true. And representative or like the allowance of the government to use that, I feel like should also not be allowed.
I completely agree with you, but then you get to cases like, okay, well, what if there's like an abuse case where it's like a long-term relationship thing, and then these two people meet up in real life, and then there's reports of physical abuse there, so it's like you have to back up, and then you get into a court case, right?
Yeah.
Where you want to attack this person for abusing you, and it's like, okay, I need to provide this data, like our text messages or private messages, whatever, as evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I mean, there's the whole recent debate of in what way should the government and local police officials have to like break into iPhones? Like, should there be a back door for that? And should they be able to just get people's text messages? You know, which they can do.
They can. I personally think no, but I mean, it like, can be done.
Right, they're gonna get it done if they have a warrant, but should the FBI just be able to do it whenever the heck they want? Well, probably not, but they're gonna try their damnedest to make it happen anyway, you know?
Yeah.
So it's this whole divide between people and government, and sacrificing like some of our own privacy for the greater good, and whether that's
but I feel like in that case it's not even for, like, it's not even always for the greater good. Like,
right,
because
sometimes
cases,
like, let's say we're like, let's say we're just logging people's text messages now. Any rogue FBI employee can go into the database and just say, hey, you know what? This is all my data now.
Yeah.
And they can look at whatever the heck they want. That's not always going to happen, for sure. That's a very rare case, but
it could still,
you know, I mean,
happen.
We see this happen all the time with tech companies, like, or not even tech companies, just companies in general. They have their data hacked. Companies that rely on data as like their business model, right? Some businesses just can't be a business without data. Like Amazon,
they're nothing.
Basically, right. Like, they have an algorithm to recommend you stuff. If Amazon didn't recommend you stuff, you wouldn't stay on the website. Neither would YouTube. You wouldn't stay on YouTube if YouTube didn't recommend you good stuff. You wouldn't find new content. That wouldn't be like a career for you, you know? So then it turns to, I mean, this is just kind of how capitalism works, really.
Yeah.
It's people versus government versus companies, and who has the right to what. And any way that you look at it, it's going to be uneven for every party.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's particularly different in America because our founders, our founding fathers, you know, we fought for this country off of the ideas of, hey, you know what? I'm my own person, and fuck taxes.
Yeah. Fuck
like,
those, dude.
At the end of the day, I am my own person, and I own my stuff.
Yeah.
And where do we make sacrifices to, you know, provide for the common good in that situation? So I just think it's a really interesting debate.
I mean, I feel like, obviously, when America was first founded, they were obviously escaping the tyranny of the British monarchy, and they were, like, super adamant about, like, okay, we need to make sure to not have, like, a super strong central power that oversees everything else, you know? And
yeah,
that is not necessarily, I mean, obviously it's not like that today at all, but I would say that we've sort of strewn away a little bit, especially as of recently, just with, like, privacy and what people have the right to do and what they don't have the right to do. Particularly in privacy, just with the internet and you being able to easily give away your information out online, and the government possibly just being able to easily have access to that. Like, is that necessarily correct? I mean, obviously it doesn't align with how the founding fathers wanted our country to be, but they had no idea that any of this was going to exist.
Right, but, like, I'm just trying to put the point out there that America's different in the way that we make laws because our ideals are formed off of this is the free country. We're freer than every other country. We deserve these rights for ourselves. This data is ours compared to like Finland. I don't know, some other random country that also has like basic freedoms that we do, but they have different things they do. Maybe not specifically because they didn't have like a revolution and all that, right?
Yeah.
Or at least I don't think Finland had a revolution. Maybe I'm missing something.
Maybe they
but
did.
Our ideals are different because we fought for it rather than talked about it.
Yeah, or it's just like being developed throughout history.
Right.
My point was
our cultures are very different.
I feel like we're sort of starting to like stray slightly away from that idea of like, oh, everyone has these basic rights, and like we are guaranteed this and guaranteed the right to privacy. Like as information becomes, especially personal information, becomes more and more accessible, we start to stray away from that aspect of privacy.
Definitely, I agree.
Which, at least personally, I enjoy having my privacy. I mean, I don't really like do anything bad that I wouldn't be like, no, the government can't know about this. But it's still, I feel like it's nice to have that peace of mind to know that you're not constantly being watched.
Right. I feel like that should be a right to not be watched by people constantly.
It almost makes you feel less human, I guess. Like you're not alone with yourself, I guess you could say, or in your information, or your research or whatever you want to look up on the internet.
Right.
It's a weird thing to talk about.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, America is weird specifically because I think it's fair to say we're the most capitalist country there is.
Oh, it's not even close. It is not even close.
But it's like, I feel any way that we debate about this or any way that we change the laws, I always feel that the people themselves are always on like the losing end.
Yes.
Maybe not the losing end, but the we didn't gain anything end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
It's always the government that gets more power or the companies that get... Yeah.
No, I would agree with you. The people, I feel like, haven't really gotten... Like, there's been no solid... Well, I mean, not no solid legislation. I feel like in terms of privacy, how about that? There have been a lot of great leaps and bounds in terms of, like, civil rights legislation for citizens of the United States, which is great. Gay marriage, perfect example, just legalized 2015. Well, I guess not just legalized. Legalized very recently, within the past 5 years. But in terms of privacy, like it's been like, oh, well, companies now have the right to like track you and use your cookies and look at this. But it's like, people now have the right to be tracked. It's like, that's not really a right. I get what you're saying.
It's weird
though.
too, because
like, we're never really we haven't really gained anything.
Right. Like, from the very start of the internet, we've been on the disadvantaged side. Like, when the internet first became a thing, and computers became more optimized. So it's like companies that were based on data, they had to go out in real life and get data. Yeah. They had to ask people questions. They had to get people to buy their products to know what they had to do to succeed. And now with computers, now it's like, okay, I don't have to like copy stuff down anymore. I just press Control-C, Control-V, and then I share it with other companies because it's mutually beneficial. Yeah. It makes sense for Best Buy to share information with Amazon because people who shop at Best Buy are now going to shop at Amazon, and people who shop at Amazon are now going to shop at Best Buy. So it makes sense. And now Amazon's linking with grocery stores, and they did, the first thing Amazon did was bookstores. They are like the first online bookstore, essentially. Yeah. So it's like, from the very start, when there were no data privacy laws with computers, companies were just like, it's free real estate. Like, I can just collect people's data and no one does anything about it. And now it's all mine. And now that these companies had this data, the government is saying, and the people too, are like, hey, let's not do that. That's probably not a good idea. Like, people want privacy and stuff.
Like
and the companies do the best to hold on to that. They don't want to lose that.
Yeah, well, because that's a moneymaker. Again, we live in a capitalist society where a huge emphasis, I feel like, is on money. It's not necessarily your worth as a person or how much you contribute to your society. Well, I guess it is in terms of economic status. But it's how much money you have. And the more money you make, the more successful you will be. So if companies can make more money by, finding people's data and recommending them products based on what their past data has suggested, then they'll make more money that way, then they're going to do it.
Right. Data collection pays, man. It really does.
Absolutely.
In every way.
Information about people and what they like and what they would buy.
Right. Like, there was this one situation where there was a girl she was shopping on Target, and she was buying specific things that someone who was pregnant would buy because the girl was pregnant, right? And so she was getting recommended like coupons and specific products at discounts for pregnant women. And her father found out about this, and he was like, why are you recommending these products to my daughter? Are you recommending that women should go out and get pregnant so they can buy stuff at your store? And then later he's like, oh shoot, I didn't even know my daughter was pregnant. So it's like, at this point, these algorithms and this technology has gotten so advanced to where now Target knew that someone was pregnant before their own father did.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's scary.
That is.
That's really scary. Especially because humans are so predictable in nature, right?
Oh, for sure.
It's scary. It really is.
That's the power of an algorithm. If you can get an algorithm that perfectly somehow matches someone's thought patterns and what they would buy and what they're interested in and what they would spend their money on, then there you go. You're going to find out how to suck them in and get them to give you as much money as you possibly can.
Right.
Not even in terms of money, too. I mean, there's some really scary possibilities of like identity theft and credit card fraud and that type of thing that you could do on the internet with algorithms as well.
Oh, sure.
Like
yeah.
Just studying and learning people's like search patterns and purchase history and that type of thing.
Right. And then there's just like people who can single-handedly just take down entire companies' infrastructure with a really smart program.
That stuff is scary. Impressive, no doubt, but scary for sure.
I mean, there's just recently people have figured out, so I think most people know what DDoSing is, but for those who don't, essentially DDoS stands for Distributed Denial of Service Attack, where you overload a website or a network or whatever to the point where it just doesn't load. It doesn't do anything, essentially. It stops all information from getting in and getting out. And for the most part, we've been able to defend against that. We've created larger networks that aren't overloaded as easily. Yeah. But recently, we've had people who've figured out how to do, I forget what the actual term is, but it's essentially like a quintuple DDoS attack where they found out ways to send stuff through servers, and there's an error in a specific server or whatever that sends, instead of just sending one file, it sends the file 213 times. Wow. And it'll be like a really large file. So now it's not perfected anyway, but it's theoretically like possible. So if one person were able to get this infrastructure, they could just take down like Amazon. Which, I mean, in the near future, this is like a real possibility, right? Oh, for sure. And Amazon, when you think about it, okay, so like Amazon has their own website, that's whatever. Bless you.
Thank you.
If Amazon's website gets taken down, like that's bad for Amazon, obviously. But
Sorry, one more.
Amazon has Amazon Web Services, which, in terms of traffic, has like 60% of the internet under its control. 60% of websites are held under Amazon Web Services. So if you take down Amazon Web Services, you're taking down 60% of the internet, which is insane.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that people were getting that advanced with DDoS attacks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's always huge strides in
it's to be expected, I guess.
Security.
But still.
Right. If something can be attacked, and there's a very statistical, like, low probability of it actually happening, people are going to find a way to make it happen, you know? Yeah. If you let one thing loose, then what are you going to do, you know?
Yeah.
Someone is going to exploit you at their own benefit. But yeah, I mean, huge strides in technology and algorithms and programs that are able to attack people are happening every day. And it's something to be really careful about. That's just how innovation
is. It happens in a lot of fields every day. It's just that some are more applicable in terms of damage than others.
I mean, realistically, 10 to 20 years, privacy's dead. That's it. It's done.
Goodbye.
And I'm not joking, actually. Like, when quantum computers become a viable thing for companies, again, it's free real estate. They're just going to take over the internet. They can get crazy. Every piece of data that they want.
When that happens? Like, there has to be... I'm sure that some sort of legislation might need to be put in place to prevent against that, but that doesn't mean that people won't do it.
Sure, you can just move your operations to another country. What's stopping you from doing that, you know?
But that's what I mean, though. Like, there's almost no way to prevent that at all.
Yeah. It's inevitable.
Yeah, that's what's scary about it. But what do we do when we get to that point? Like, do we just... It's like, no more internet.
Well, that's the thing, I guess. The only companies that are really at the forefront of quantum computing technology are Google and IBM, which, in my opinion, are two very respectable companies. Yeah. IBM isn't even really trying that hard. They're just kind of like, we're doing the research, you know?
Everyone knows about Google. I feel like not as many people are aware that IBM is at the forefront on that type of thing.
Yeah, because IBM kind of fell off the radar for a lot of people after the whole tech bubble.
Yeah. I got Watson, though.
However many years ago that was. I don't even remember. Yeah. How long ago was that Google they declared quantum supremacy or whatever? That was only like 9 months ago.
I'm looking this up.
Yeah.
October 23rd of... Why would you only say October 23rd?
Well, 2019.
Oh, yeah. October 23rd, 2019. Boom.
It was definitely 2019.
Yep. There we go. October 23rd.
Wow. It's like 8 months ago. I don't know how to do math, but...
Yeah. That's crazy. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like... It's crazy.
Technologically, it's very cool.
No, absolutely. Like,
in terms of...
The idea itself is amazing, but the amount of damage that can be done by using that sort of hardware is also astronomical.
Absolutely insane, yeah.
Which is, again, sort of cool, but also, at the same time, not at all.
In a way, cool. In a way, very
cool
scary.
That it exists.
And bad.
That, like, doing that sort of thing is possible. It's like, I'm a hacker in a movie. I can just... be like everyone else. Be like, clickety-clackety, click, I'm in. But if that could actually happen, it does happen. But with even greater ease, then we're done.
Yeah. So I guess at the least, we've got Google being an actual good company, a trustworthy company at the forefront of that.
Yeah. I feel like I trust Google, maybe.
I trust Google.
I also, for some
think
reason,
they're so big
I trust
to where
Apple too.
they have to do what people want almost.
Yeah.
Because otherwise their whole company is just going down.
Yeah.
If they do something controversial or illegal or whatever, they're kind of done.
Yeah. Or at least they'll have a huge...
Although maybe not, because Microsoft is fine,
Yeah. What did they do?
Well, I mean, there's a whole documentary about this, but like when browsers were first becoming popular, before Microsoft's browser Edge, or not Edge, Internet Explorer. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Edge is
that's what it is
recent.
now.
Yeah, Internet Explorer, when that first came out, before that, the biggest one was Netscape.
Yeah. And
Netscape was huge. They were essentially the pioneers of this type of technology, browser technology. And Microsoft said, you know what? Let's just destroy them.
Oh, right. Okay, actually, I do remember what you're talking about.
There was a whole supposed meeting that went down between Netscape and Microsoft was just basically like, so basically this is how we're going to destroy your company. Do you want us to buy you, or do you want us to run you into the ground? And Netscape was like, see ya, we're gonna go keep working on Netscape, bye-bye.
And then they did.
And then Microsoft destroyed them anyway.
Yeah.
And then there was the whole case about Microsoft being a monopoly, but and then they were declared a monopoly, but Bill Gates issued a retrial, and then he got a retrial, and none of the punishments were put onto Microsoft. So the company wasn't split up or anything like that.
I feel like in terms of like tech companies and trustworthiness, I feel like the big three are obviously Google, Apple, and Microsoft. And
yeah.
For some reason, out of those three, just thinking about it in my brain, I absolutely trust Microsoft the least.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you why.
Which is weird to think about, because like
they don't put a lot of emphasis on privacy. Like Apple had a whole ad campaign that was like, yeah, we don't actually care. Buy iPhones. And Google they do the same thing, except, I mean, they weren't like, buy iPhones, but they were like, yeah, we'll keep you protected and safe. And Microsoft just doesn't do anything or make anything public about how they handle their privacy. Maybe I should stop using Edge.
Right. I
use Mozilla Firefox.
Most of the updates to Windows are just like privacy stuff, but they don't really even tell you what they did.
Yeah.
Which is strange.
It's like, now we can't look through your webcam whenever we want. I'd like to think that like normal at the Microsoft office, like when Bill Gates gets bored, he goes on like Omegle, except it's just like every Windows user's webcam. It's just like, all right, let's just shuffle through until we see something interesting.
It's like one of in his office, he has like one of those walls where it's all just monitors.
Yeah.
And he can flick to different people's webcams.
He's like, oh, look, there's two idiots recording a podcast. Stupid. It's like, thanks, Bill.
Appreciate it.
He's so... I feel like cool Bill Gates is a good dude, though.
Yeah. I just
like,
watched
in my mind, I trust Bill Gates, but not Microsoft.
Right.
But, like, I trust Apple, but, like, not Tim Cook. Like, I don't like Tim Cook.
Anyone who cooks is bad. I don't like that.
I don't know about that.
He works at a tech company. Why does he cook? That doesn't make any sense.
He's in the wrong place.
He's got to
do something. He's got to be doing something suspicious.
Bill Gates is at least one of those, rich people that does like good stuff with their money, though.
Yeah, that's why everyone hates Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, right.
He literally is the richest man in the world and like just doesn't do anything. Except make more money.
Like Bill Gates eliminating polio Yeah, pretty cool thing of him
That
to
was
do.
a pretty cool thing to do.
Yeah, well, technically it's not eliminated yet, I don't think.
No, but he helped.
But he drastically got the cases down.
Yeah.
At least.
That was sort of cool.
Trying to create, renewable energy, like forever, to replace fossil fuels. Pretty cool thing a bill to do.
That is something that we definitely need to get on pretty soon, like right now, in fact.
Yeah. Just global warming in general.
Yeah, we need to do a lot to preserve the longevity of the Earth. Not even specifically like America. Just the entire world needs to come together because we're kind of like fucking over the planet.
Right. And it's kind of interesting. So, like, that whole global warming is inherently just like political because you need.
Which is so weird. It's not.
It's not a political thing at all, but at the same time, it becomes very political because you need specific permissions and you need laws to align to enable you to do all this stuff. Like when Bill Gates tried to like make these new nuclear power plants, he's like, "Hey, China, do you want to help me do this?" And they're like, "Okay." And then Trump is like, "Actually, tariff." So you can't do that. Actually,
really funny story. That's going to be a no from the U.S. Yeah. No. Which is so weird. Like, dude, let him deal with China. He's trying to save us. Maybe.
And I feel like Elon Musk's whole plan of terraforming Mars, like, that's all cool, but we don't really know if that's going to work.
Yeah, we need to at least preserve the Earth before we know that we can, like, even successfully colonize another planet.
Before it gets eaten by the sun, yeah.
Yeah, he's got to pass those plans down to his son, XAE-12.
Did you hear that they changed the name?
You're kidding me. What did they change it to?
So it's the same name, but instead of the digits 12, they changed it to the Roman numerals for 12.
That's it.
That's it. They legally changed it.
Oh,
and Elon Musk's explanation was because Roman numerals look cooler. And he had to change it because government law wouldn't let him put numbers in his kid's name. So they changed it to Roman numerals.
Honestly, I mean, Roman numerals do look cooler, but why did he name his son?
They do.
I really hope Elon doesn't lose it. Or, like, he becomes that, like, old...
He just doesn't go insane.
Like the old, like, kook of the town. We're like, oh, Elon. Always trying to colonize Mars. What a lovable guy.
Right. He's got big plans, and I respect that, but...
Yeah, I respect him a lot, but his execution of those plans...
It kind of, like, what he's trying to do sounds like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah. I mean, we might get there eventually, but not, like, for the next 100 years, for sure.
Not in our lifetime. Not even close.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Maybe, like, like, towards the very end. I'd give it, like, a maybe.
I mean,
like 30,
technology
30,
moves
70 chance.
Quite fast. Who knows?
Unless by the time we get to 2077, everything is like Cyberpunk 2077, and then we just replace our bodies with robot parts.
When does that game come out?
I don't know.
That's like
cool, but
October, September this year? I don't know.
It is...
That game looks sick, though.
September 17th of 2020.
September, I knew it.
So that's pretty soon.
I knew it.
I would buy it and play it, except the part that I can't. Yeah. Definitely could not run that game for sure.
Unfortunate. I don't know if my computer can run the game.
Mine for sure can't. Yours might be able to.
I've been surprised by what it can actually run.
Well, yours is also...
So maybe I'll be surprised again.
I'm on a laptop, so it's like even worse. Like if I was with a PC...
My computer is a desktop, yes. That is true.
With a 1050, then it might be a little better. But you have a desktop with a 1060.
Yeah.
I got the.
So I guess
got
I
the
never know,
Max
but-
Cube version.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. As usual, you can listen to this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.